SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from New Egypt Speedway, World of Outlaws. We're here with second place finisher Logan Schuchart. And Logan, just an emotional week to come in here and finish second. I know you wanted to win, obviously, but a great run considering all the circumstances this week.
Yeah, from where my mind, started out this week, I talked to that guy plenty this week and asked him just to guide me, because I knew this would be tough just to come here and be in that car. That guy was with me he's brought me into this deal. He taught me racing from a little kid, and to do this deal without him I knew it would be tougher just to be at the racetrack. So, but I know he's here. I asked for his guidance to come here and finish second after because my mind for sure was not 100% on that race car and where it needed to be. So I know he was here. Like I said in my interview on the racetrack, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and I know that guy has a front row ticket right next to him, guiding myself, Jacob, the rest of this family, where he started this legacy, and he built it up so that we could continue it, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability.
Tough track conditions, you get the start, and Carson just was able to sneak around you on the top of 1 and 2 and down the backstretch. Take me through that lap there. How difficult was that first lap?
I feel like the start was everything. It was to get that first start and control the race. Carson did do a really good job when he got to lap traffic, but I had to get to him in 1 and 2, that original restart. I got beside him. Everything in me wanted to let that car slide up and take that groove away from me, but that's not the way I was taught to race, and that's not the way he would race, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, race clean, try to get the win the right way, try and wait for my opportunity to make something happen, and I thought I was going to have it there in traffic with 5 to 10 to go, and just caution kind of came out at the wrong time. I could run a little bit lower in 1 and 2 than he could, kind of move around the racetrack. It wasn't it wasn't like it was a sticky cushion. You could make the track a little wider, arc your corner a little more, or kind of cut what I'd call the bottom of 1 and 2 and hit the apex a little more, but not really try to catch anything sticky because it wasn't there. You had to arc the corner, carry itself out, keep the tires underneath of you and the wing underneath of you to drive down the backstretch. So in traffic, he was getting around the guys at the right time, and I thought they might come in my favor a little bit to maybe make Carson move, get a little greedy and get out of because it did start to rubber a little bit at the end too. So, but that caution just came out at a wrong time, and I tried my best to get a run off of 4 and really get a run down the front straightaway to maybe dive below him, but I just wasn't close enough to do it and just didn't have enough tires left. So he did a great job of controlling the start, starting in the rubber, and kind of launching himself down the front stretch to not really give me a chance.
You have a couple cracks in traffic, just couldn't. He was able to kind of diamond and get really close to the rail in turns, entering 3 through 4, and you just couldn't get under him. But you were right there. I think at one point you were 3/10 back.
Yeah, I felt like I caught him, especially in traffic, and I felt like even when we were out by ourselves in the middle of that race, where I could run through the middle of 1 and 2, and then I'd kind of come off a little lower in 4 than he would instead of letting it carry out of 4. I could catch him a little bit there, but just needed that traffic to help me a little bit once I got to him, and I never really got that chance. And he like I said, he did a great job of not giving me that chance.
How therapeutic was it I know it's tough, obviously, to get back to the track, your racing family, so to speak. I know a lot of people have, wished you well today and whatnot. Did it help getting back to the track at all and just being around everybody here who loved your grandfather?
Sure, he built this. Like I said, he built this from the ground up with a lot of help from a lot of people, but this was his vision in the making. he did this as a career, but from Jacob and I running go-karts to selling all his stuff when he was done in '97 to race go-karts, and then go from there to build this team up around 2007, 2008, and build it into what it is now. He manifested it. He made it happen with the help of family and teaching us and showing us that you can do a lot with a little, that hard work goes a long way, and with his big heart and determination, others will want to help you also, and I think he showed that to a lot of people, that if you work hard, you're kind to others, and a lot of passion, determination, that others will want to join in and join that race with you, and that's why you see this, what we have here. He built that.
Well, congratulations on a solid run, and again, condolences.
Thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from New Egypt Speedway. We're here with winner Carson Macedo. Carson, the start was critical. You just sailed it around the top of 1 and 2 and were able to get a run down the backstretch and slip by.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's putting it lightly. I think that was a lot of the race. I feel like it was tough. The pace was super slow, and I feel like it was really technical. I think my car was incredible. I think Philip and the guys did an incredible job. It was awesome, really. I felt like I was super stuck, and when I ran it in there that hard on top, I was nervous that it really wasn't going to work out, but I knew that was my shot. And I couldn't believe how gripped up I was, and left turn 2 with a ton of speed, and was able to just sneak by Logan. It was super tight, but it just feels good to win a race. We haven't won in a few races, but we feel like we've had some speed. We've had our moments, just hasn't quite worked out, and feels good to cap off a win on a very unique, different racetrack. Never been here before, but definitely different than mostly anything I think I've ever seen. Maybe Volusia a little bit similar, but still not quite as drastic of a dogleg, I think, down the backstretch as this.
Tricky in 3 and 4, you had to be along the rail. Otherwise, somebody was going to get under you. That was the place to be. You really had to close that off once you entered turn 3, and you were able to stay ahead of him in traffic, which was difficult. He was right there.
I was super nervous one time. I had to get under a lapper, and I blew it down into 3 pretty hard, and then went sliding across. I felt like I was literally standing still off of turn 4 for a minute there, but was able to get back to the flag stand and get through 1 and 2 again, and still had the lead. And I feel like definitely like what you're saying there off turn 4 being lower, it was quite a bit more grip, especially late in the race when I started laying a little bit of rubber down there. I think it got clean. You can see we come in with some tire wear. So just like I said, just a great effort by this JJR team. I think tonight was our 11th win of the season, 12 with the high limit win that we won, and I feel like that's a pretty successful season. Anytime you can get double digits in the win column, I think that's something to be proud of. And just happy with we continue to make progress. We definitely are all putting our heads together and wanting to be better all the time, but it's hard to not look back and be pretty proud of what we've done this year.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little more on the double digits thing, this is commonplace for you now. You've come a long way, and it hasn't been a long time. You haven't been out here for 10 years, 15 years, and yet you've adapted pretty quick. Where's that come from? How have you been able to do that to the point where you are a regular double-digit winner each year?
I think joining in with a good team is very helpful. I think joining JJR, having a crew chief that's had a lot of experience, been to a lot of racetracks. I think Philip's one of the best in the sport. I think that's helpful. Just an organized organization like JJR with good partners and sponsors, having the tools that we need. But I don't know. I think that being able to progress fast has been awesome, and I feel like Buddy seems to have kind of done the same thing. Both from California. I don't know if that style of being a little bit more aggressive on the box helps you get there quicker. I think working with good people and getting with a good team helps a lot too. And I really don't know how to answer that, but I'm thankful for it, that's for sure. I know watching some videos of this place from 15, 16, 17, and seeing David and Brad battling for the lead, it kind of puts things into perspective. Sometimes you think, well, I should be where this guy is, or whatever. The thief of joy's comparison sometimes, and I feel like I was still locally racing in California in 2015. So a lot's changed since then, and I'm just thankful for the journey.
You know, you mentioned Bobby Allen in victory lane. Just a somber week for the racing community, both in Pennsylvania, Outlaws across the country.
Yeah, I remember. I briefly remember, obviously from videos and things like that, Bobby's career. I think he was an incredible race car driver, and he was a legend in our sport just for the accomplishments that he had as a driver. But then, what he did with Shark Racing was like the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life. I remember in 2013, them coming out to the West Coast and running Tulare, and I was, that would have been my first year racing a sprint car. And they were on the road, and I remember thinking at that point, there's no way that this team is going to make it the entire year on the World of Outlaw Tour. And here they are today, two teams that are competitive on any given night to win anywhere in the country. And Logan, obviously, battling him for the win tonight was pretty special. There was like a small part of me, obviously I want to win the race, but to see him win tonight would have been cool too. So Bobby was a great guy. He'll be missed by a lot of people. I think what he did can't be understated. I mean, not very many people could have put together a team like he did with two cars, with one trailer, with three motors, and done the entire Outlaw Tour the way they did. And he just had a way of stretching a dollar a long, long way. So a sad week for our sport, but really excited to go to Lincoln tomorrow. I think that was kind of like the home track for Shark Racing after Bobby moved from Florida, from what I can understand. So I think there'll be quite a bit of tribute going on tomorrow for him, and well-deserved, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Lincoln Speedway. We're here with World of Outlaws winner Anthony Macri. Anthony, good way to return to the cockpit. A little rough at New Egypt, but you don't want my opinion of New Egypt. But looked good tonight and got it done.
Yeah, obviously last night was a crapshoot. It looked like it was Talladega from an aerial view, and it was technical. I feel like we would have been okay if we hadn't got spun out and had damage, but that's water under the bridge. I kind of was confident going into the night. We always seem to have a good car here, and just proved again tonight. I felt pretty solid all night long. Feature, we were definitely snug, which me and Joe kind of figured we were going to be a little snug in the beginning, and I didn't think it was going to build a curb like that, and I haven't seen it build a curb like that since I was like 12 years old. So that was a little technical, and just the way the car was, it just stayed snug and a little treacherous the whole race, but nothing a little brake pedal can't fix. But I don't know, just got a little worried in lap traffic there a couple times. Once I got the lead, I was just kind of running my own pace. I knew those guys behind me weren't gonna pounce in clean air. They were gonna wait to lap traffic. So I just paced myself till I got to lap traffic, and lap traffic was a doozy. Just they were side by side on the top and the bottom. So I feel like one time I rifled it into the middle and kind of slid across and was able to get a car, and I just never really knew how much of a lead I had in lap traffic because I didn't feel like I was getting through it efficiently because I was already tight, and then enter dirty air and it makes it a little bit worse. So restarts were another thing that worried me deeply. I felt like I never really got a good restart, no matter what line I ran going into one. Ultimately I always came out with the lead, but I never really felt comfortable going into 3 with the lead I had, and I knew in 3 and 4 I had to run the top. So it was going to be a matter of circling them or getting on the brakes and trying to cross them over and not light the tires up. But we kept it out front.
They showed you the nose, though.
Yeah.
Carson Macedo came on really strong, then he dropped out, and then Chase Dietz was able to get beside you a couple times.
Yeah, I saw those guys. I saw Macedo running the bottom, and then under the yellow, obviously, Joe was telling me to just keep doing what I'm doing, and then, same thing with Chase, and Joe said keep doing what you're doing, and we were, green flag racing there for a while, and I seen Chase, start to peek his nose to the bottom in 1 and 2, and then the next lap I went down and kind of protected 1 and 2, and didn't really see him. after that. So I don't know if I just, kind of broke his momentum and broke his rhythm or what, but just went back to the top then. And then as soon as I got in lap traffic, I kind of just committed myself to the top and try not to trip over the curb.
How's the back doing? I mean, obviously, 35 laps at Lincoln probably doesn't help it, but how are you feeling?
I'm sore. I'm definitely sore. I mean, it's not a scary sore, not a sore like I rushed it and I came back too early, but the doctor said I was going to be a little sore. But tonight was a little bit more physically demanding than last night. It's just, I don't know, it was a fast pace. I feel like up until, halfway through that feature, it's just lap times would show that too, but I mean, there's bumps here and there, and obviously a bump doesn't feel, particularly nice, but sore. I'm sure I'll be taking some Tylenol and Advil, but I think right now the best medicine is probably a beer.
Either that and winning, beating the Outlaws. You have 4 of them now this year. Different surfaces, different tracks. This team has just come along, just over the 3 years with you and Joe. He's going to be back next year, and you guys are one of the best, combinations in the country. Got to be proud to, even just coming back like you did and beating the best in the business, beating the World of Outlaws.
Yeah, I mean, what we've accomplished definitely isn't something to shake a stick at or whatever the saying is. I mean, we're fast, and for the most part we're pretty consistent. I mean, I feel like if we aren't kind of right there, something stupid happened, or if I did something stupid and I ruined our night. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've definitely gotten better. I mean, the two of us, it's to the point where he pretty much knows what I'm going to say when I come in. And just, I don't know. Something about the combination. We have speed, so just keep it up and hopefully, not lose our momentum.
Well, congratulations on another win.
Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show where you can ask questions via phone or chat. I don't have a big intro tonight. We're just going to kind of wing it. Voice isn't great, but good enough. If you'd like to call, it's 1-844-543-8589. Obviously, a lot of topics we could talk about. World of Outlaws events over the weekend, high limit. Anything else you want to touch on? So let's get to the chat right away, just so we can see how long this holds up. A question from TikTok. In your post-race interview with Anthony Macri, you mentioned you don't want to hear my opinion on New Egypt. So what are your thoughts on New Egypt? I was disappointed. I was greatly disappointed with New Egypt. I thought it was it's like a sandy track almost. I know they have clay. It's just very dusty. Couldn't see turn 1. Couldn't see down the front stretch. I was in turn 4. The racing wasn't good at all. I'm sure it's probably good for modifieds, but I think it shelves off in 3 and 4. I didn't like it. I didn't think the racing was good, and so there you go. That's my opinion of New Egypt. Not a good first impression. Tony on line 1. Tony, how are you?
Pretty good, Jeremy. How you doing?
Okay, not too bad.
I wanted to call last week and I forgot. I'm sorry, but
That's
I want
okay.
to start off by first offering my condolences to the Allen family in the passing of Bobby Allen. He was all that in a bag of potato chips. I was fortunate enough to see him win an Outlaw race at the Grove, I think in '86, and it's just sad. But I just want to offer my condolences to the Allen family.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the racing communities rallying around Shark Racing, Bobby Allen's family, friends. So yeah, well said.
Okay, my topic for tonight is, back around Knoxville, I sent a message about this, and you might disagree with me, but I really think the National Open needs to up the ante.
In what regard?
Well, it is a crown jewel race, but they paid $75,000 to win when Knoxville pays. Do they pay $175? I forget what Knoxville. I know Knoxville pays over $100.
200.
200. Okay, and the Kings Row, I think, pays $250.
175. It was 175, and it got up to 200.
Okay, and then pardon me, I might not have all my facts straight.
That's all right.
But I know what I'm saying is they should definitely be paying, I think, six figures to the winner. They don't have to pay as much as Knoxville or Eldora or Huset's. But if it's going to be a crown jewel race, I think it needs to have crown jewel money at the top, and maybe increase it down the line a little bit, not much. And considering that the Dennis Roth Classic was just the other week out at Tulare, that paid $8,000 more, $83,000. So, and I don't know if the Weicker Memorial is going to pay $100,000 next year. I mean, that was the first race in Central PA to pay $100,000, but I definitely think the National Open should pay a little bit more. I think this is a long time coming.
Well, a couple things.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up, and then I'll answer.
No, I got some stuff written down. I want to hear your take first.
Here's the thing: a crown jewel isn't just money. There's got to be history. Huset's obviously is paying the most, but it's not a crown jewel. It's only been going on for 3-4 years. The Dennis Roth Classic, it's been going on 2 years.
Yeah,
I would question if that money's not being given by somebody, sponsorship or whatever. I would be willing to bet they lost money. There's guarantee it. The Tulare doesn't seat enough people. So
right,
I understand what you're saying about the six figures. I get it. But what Williams Grove has in the National Open that these other events don't have is history, prestige, difficulty in winning there. It's not a place that everybody can win. I mean, it took Brad Sweet how long? So I think there's that. Now you can talk about the money and that's fine, but I would rather see the money down at the bottom than up top. But even so, they probably had, I'm going to guess, 8,500 people there. Maybe a little more. I mean, maybe 9, 10 at most.
Yeah.
If they pay 100,000, are they going to sell one more seat? Probably not. Are they going to draw enough cars to make up for a $25,000 bump? No, they're not. So you're basically throwing money away for nothing. I think there has to be an economics from an economic standpoint. It just doesn't make sense to do it. Knoxville seats 21,000 and change. Eldora seats, big venue seats in that 18 to 20 range. So again, for the Grove, their biggest crowd, I think, for the National Open was probably 2013. I was talking about that during the event with General Manager Justin Lowe. It's probably 2013. They don't have it exact, but it was like 10-8. So while I understand what you're saying, it just doesn't make economical sense to do it unless somebody's going to pony it up.
And well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they even had some good sponsors, and I'm not knocking Sandy Klein. I think it was awesome what she did,
Mm-hmm.
to step up and sponsor the National Open this year. But when they had Wise and Sage Fruit, I think it was last year, and these, Champion Racing Oil. I mean, I'm sure they might not be a huge company, but they're, I'm sure maybe they can write it off. I don't know, but and that kind of leads me to another thing. I haven't been really thrilled with the Grove the last couple of years. When you look at Port Royal and Lincoln and Babs and what the improvements they've made, the Grove, in my opinion, is when people around the world think of sprint car racing and sprint car tracks, it's kind of in this order: Knoxville, Eldora, and the Grove.
Yes.
And I don't know, Port Royal really is taking a lead with what they've done there. I mean, they have the right name for that place, the Speed Palace, because it's fast and it's a Taj Mahal. It's beautiful what they've done, and they're still making improvements.
Mm-hmm.
And Lincoln, I mean, what they did with those suites, and they've made improvements, and Baps, they've improved their seating. I mean, the Grove, I think, needs to do. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to be a 5-year plan. It's going to take some time if they, want to if they were to make improvements. And I think, the seating is one of them. I mean, I don't want to talk about that now because that's a discussion for another time. But I think, though, if they did have more seating, they might not get it every week, but definitely for the big events like the 3 times a year the Outlaws come in, they would definitely fill the stands and get more people.
Yeah.
And I think, doesn't the Hughes family, they still own the amusement park property?
Kathy Hughes. It's not really the Hughes family. It's Kathy Hughes.
Kathy Hughes, yeah.
Yeah. She's the daughter.
She owns, because, and I actually parked over there a couple of years ago when I went to the National Open. I mean, they can use that for parking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think that's a good place to park over there, just because. And I had to park over there, like I said, because there was no place to park on the back stretch and the front stretch. Forget it.
Yeah,
unless you're there early. But I think there's improvements that need to be made at the Grove. One of them, obviously, I think is maybe to give the purse a little bit of a boost, but that's my take on it. I just think that they really need to up the ante a little bit with the purse, not much, but when all these other races are paying that, and yes, the Grove is historic. I mean, it opened up in 1939. Tommy Hintershitz won the first race. AJ Foyt's won there. Almost all the greats have won there. But they've been running at Knoxville for a long time. They've run at Eldora for a long time too. Maybe not as long as the Grove, but I really think the Grove really needs to step it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think they probably could stand some improvements. That I won't deny. They were the first ones to have suites in the area, so really everybody kind of caught up to them. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think we forget that part. And as for the purse, there's economics that come into play there. And I don't know what the answer is, because you're really cutting into your profit margin if you're just going to throw $25,000 into it and you're not getting any more back. Now you can say sponsorship. I know what they got from Champion Oil, and it wasn't as much as you think. And now I do not know what the Sandy Klein deal was, but it's a big ask to do that. And I think Port Royal has an advantage because the Weicker family bumped it up. That's why it got to 100,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think, Port Royal has some advantages. Some other places don't. And I've talked to O'Neill about that. O'Neill's been upfront and honest about that. So I think it's tough when you're privately owned. And I don't know. We'll see what they do in the future here. But as long as the stands are filled for that event, I don't know why you would I don't know why you would change it. But yes, aesthetically, some things around the grounds, or yes, they could do some upgrades.
Yeah. And speaking of Weichert, I know Bob Weichert, I remember this. I went to Port Royal maybe 30 years ago. I think Kaufman won that night. He didn't like the Grove.
Yeah.
Well, at least he didn't like it the night he was talking about it, but he wasn't really thrilled with it. But he was a guy that wasn't afraid to speak his mind, though, too. So, but and actually, the Weichert Memorial was supposed to pay $75,000, which is what the National Open pays. But I don't know. Maybe they should pay $129,000, to celebrate the history of the Weichert's car being 29. But that might be asking a little too much for them. But I mean, Port Royal is just what they've done to that place. It's just, I walked through that tunnel, and I haven't been there for about a year because I'm currently disabled. But that every time I go through that tunnel, my jaw drops.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
Just what they've done to that place, and I just wish the Grove would really catch up. I think with Kathy Hughes, though, I don't think she's going to spend the money, and I think she's still trying to sell it. But Tony Stewart definitely won't be buying it. It'd be nice if a Tony Stewart type person would buy it, but that's a pipe dream. But I think if somebody were to take it over and make the improvements, that'd be awesome, because that place needs some TLC.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, she is not selling it. I do know people who wouldn't mind buying it. She has no intentions of selling it, at this point.
Okay. I thought I heard she was looking at selling her, or I guess maybe people put the feelers out there, and
there's always
just what she was looking for too.
There's always a lot of rumors that Tony Stewart and Casey Kane, that none of that's true, that they put in offers.
No.
So they got enough on their plate as well. I know everybody wants to, every time a track is needs something, everybody goes to Tony Stewart. I mean, they want to spend all his money, but nevertheless, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll do something to the National Open. We'll see. But I don't know, Tony.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And Tony Stewart don't own everything either. So
no,
he obviously has his backers, but I mean, one can dream though. It'd be nice if not necessarily him, but somebody like him would come along and take it off their hands. But like you said, it's probably not going to happen in the near future. But that's all I had to say.
All right, Tony. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yep, no problem.
All
right. Gold Cup's crown jewel potential. Can it get there without having the Outlaw guys available? And what's it take for Houston's to get there? 10-year anniversary of the same format, high payout, or what? Yeah, I think the Gold Cup can get there because of its history. Obviously, the fact that it's now six figures, or because it was 50,000 and then it dropped. It just sank. And then it was let go for a while, and now obviously Brad's building it back up. I think it can get to that status. Do I think it, to me, still a crown jewel has to have everybody at it. I think that's, and I've been thinking about this a lot over the last week and a half. Since the Williams Grove National Open, I don't think anything can crack those top three because they have everybody at them, or you have the potential for everybody to be there. I think the other ones are great. I think they're majors. If it were me, it'd be crown jewel majors. And Houston's could get into the crown jewel deal, but 10 years, that's not a long time. 10 years is not a long time in life. It goes by quick, especially when you get older. So I think Gold Cup's a major, but I think everybody has to be there for it to be a crown jewel. I just wanted to comment on how good your deep dive with Shane Liebig was. I really hope the Liebig and Tim's pairing lasts long into the future. Yeah, no, Shane Liebig was great. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, it was on. We did that last Thursday. We have a good one this week. Deep dive's going to be Zeb Wise. So that's going to be our deep dive on Thursday, if I can make it, if I can talk by then. Okay, Bob on line 2. Bob, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just curious. What do you think about tomorrow night? That high limits mid race or midweek series. The 3 guys that got a real good chance to win it. And do you think Rico will hang on and win the season battle?
Well, there's 4 guys who have a good shot. 4 guys are within 12 points, I believe, or 16 points. It's interesting because Rico, Brad Sweet, and Aaron Reitzel have all won at Lucas Oil Speedway. Tanner Thorson hasn't, but in Tanner Thorson's 5 starts there, he has all top 4 finishes and a 19th. And the 19th, he was running up front when he broke. So I think Lucas Oil is a perfect place for this to kind of wind up the midweek series. I think all 4 of them have a crack at it. And I think one of the reasons why is because the points Everybody got me now? Sorry for that. It's on my end. I don't know. There was a power surge down here, and my whole laptop just went like that. So I apologize for that. We're up and running, I think. Give me if Eric, give me a thumbs up. Okay, we're good to go. Again, guys, sorry about that. Okay, we only have the chat the rest of the night. I apologize for that because we'd have to jump back in and reconfigure back into the call center. We're not going to do that because that'll waste time. So, all right, let's get back to the chat again. I assume you mean Dason Pursley to KKR. Maybe. Let's put it this way. Whatever happens with KKR, Dason Pursley, or other teams, we will have something on SprintCarUnlimited.com with quotes, a story. We'll have some stuff coming out this weekend. And we'll also talk about it on the 90 at 9 and on the YouTube platform. Dr. Midnight cyber attack. No, it was something on my end. I apologize. It wasn't user error, but it wasn't something on my end. I'm not exactly what one would call a Shots fan, but what we're witnessing this season is tough to watch. One of the best ever, struggling to qualify and be relevant is never a good thing. You know, as a guy who covered Donnie Schatz since his rookie season, I wrote a story about him as a rookie. I remember doing the interview in his motorhome at the I believe it was the Econo Lodge parking lot in Carlisle. And I agree, it is hard to watch because I've seen so many of his wins. And have talked to him after victories and second places or whatever, interviews, podcasts. It's tough. And, you know, I talked to him at New Egypt and he's frustrated. Obviously, he's in survival mode. He has one car, one motor. He's not going to press it too much because, again, he has one car, one motor. And you can remember Chris Wyndham's in a Rookie of the Year battle. So Donnie's not going to put Jason Sides Motorsports and Chris Wyndham behind to satisfy, you know, him finishing the rest of the season. So it is one of these deals where he's got to make it last just to get to the end. But yes, it is hard to watch. I do think he can still win World of Outlaws events. Do I think he can compete for a title? I think that's a stretch. We'll see. We'll see what happens for next year. Not the money reason. Chili Bowl is massive and doesn't pay much. Is there a reason you know of for some guys not coming? Could it benefit from different format? Other two jewels use different format. Look, I'm not a Chili Bowl guy. Admittedly, I'm not a Chili Bowl guy. The only reason that thing is popular is because of when it is. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. If that thing was in July, it wouldn't be near as popular. That being said, it's a huge event. It draws a great crowd. It draws a fantastic car count. And that's because of when it is. People are jonesing for racing. People in the wintertime have cabin fever. You can't really go outside if you're in the East or the Midwest. I mean, you can. Minnesota's 25 below, so you're not doing anything outside. There's not a ton going on. So it's perfect. It's perfect for racing. It is the perfect event. Emmett Hahn should be applauded for coming up with that idea. If it was him, I mean, it's huge, and it's watched in other countries. Again, if it was in July, it wouldn't be the case, but it suits the purpose, and I don't think, why would you change it if you're getting 380 cars? So what if Rico doesn't race? So what if the guys who go to Australia don't race? You're getting 380 cars. You're making money. People are continuing to go to it. I don't think you need to change anything. Now, I mean, you want to add some bells and whistles just to, keep people interested, but the big events in this sport sell. They're not a good gauge. I mean, people are going to go to the Knoxville Nationals. People are going to go to the Kings Royal. People are going to go to the Chili Bowl. Those events, people are going to go to the National Open. Those events are solid. People are going to go to them no matter what. So I don't know if you have to change anything. Get done earlier on Saturday night. There you go. Preference of track layout, tires on inside of track, VS walls, VS berms. I don't have a preference. because, and look, I don't know enough about track surface. I'm not a track expert. I can tell you tracks I like. I like Baps Motor Speedway. I like Eldora Speedway. Those are two of my favorites. I would like to see a race at Angel Park. I was out there. Brent Smith and I were out there, and we were going to see it, but it rained out. I like Plymouth. I was at Plymouth for the first time and really enjoyed it. But then I like the Grove too. I don't know why, I just do. And I like a lot of different tracks. But for layout, I like banking a little shorter, 4/10, or if you want to go 2/5, however you want to say it. And then just a little character, cushion, give guys something to lean on. I just saw in the chat, go Dodgers. Yes, for Cali, go Dodgers. And also because it'll make people upset in the East. It's always, hopefully the Dodgers win. Not that I'm a baseball guy, but I'm not, but just for her. Again, but I really like Babs. Where is Sheldon going? What about the Jason Myers 14 KCP? Look, we've all heard the rumblings about Sheldon Haudenschild to KCP. At this point, it's the worst kept secret. The Myers car is going to be a part-time schedule with Corey Day. They are not. They're going to sell their charter or franchise, and it's going to be Corey Day, and that's it. It's really hard to find a driver who to race 20, 30 races and be kind of sharing the duties with Corey Day. So Corey Day is going to have a full slate. So that it seems like that car suits him. The package they have suits him better than it suits any other driver. So just go with it and run a part-time schedule. How impressive was Macri's performance at Lincoln, especially coming back from his injury? Look, Anthony Macri's good. And I was impressed with how well he performed. But, the funny thing is everybody used to say that he wasn't good at Lincoln, even though that's where he started. He's pretty good at Lincoln. In fact, honestly, the only track where Anthony Macri isn't the best in this area is Babs Motor Speedway. He's the best at Port Royal. He's the best at the Grove. And he's the best at Lincoln out of all our local guys. And this may sound weird. I think Lincoln might be his best track. Now, this year, the Grove, I think his lowest finish was 5th. Didn't race there a ton. But traditionally, the last few years, I think Lincoln, if you look at his win percentage, it's pretty high there. So, am I surprised Macri won? No. Impressed? Yes. Macri high limit Outlaws next year? No. No. He likes having a life outside of racing. And I think it's nice to go on the road for a little bit and then come home. Sleep in his own bed. I think that's what he's comfortable with. I think that's what that team's going to continue to do. I know he said he wouldn't mind doing a national series 1 year just to try it out. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if I see that in his future. I think this works for him. Look, he's made over $500,000 this year. That's pretty good. He continues to win. He's shown he can beat the Outlaws on the road. He's won high limit races on the road. He won the Kings Royal. He's pretty damn good. There's no doubt about it. He is really good. Johnny Gibson mentioned at the Natio that TJ Stutz is one to keep an eye on for 2026 plans. What do you know about that? don't know if I want to say what I know about it. I just think you could see him on the road more. I'll leave it go at that. I think nothing's etched in stone, but you could see him on the road a little more. Another question for you. When are the Outlaws going to let their drivers compete in more high limit shows? 2 series can only help the sport get bigger, more money for teams. Don't suffocate growth. Sorry, excuse me. I have a couple different thoughts on this, not theories. I have no problem with them only letting them run 4 races outside of the series. Only 2 of them have used them all this year, and that's the 2 Macedos. So obviously it's not a big deal to the teams. They have a 90 race schedule, and they don't really get a lot of opportunities to race outside of it. And I have no problem with the Outlaws protecting their product. That's number 1. Number 2, there is no, on the flip side, on the other side of the coin, there is no proof that if they run a high limit race at Lernerville on, say, Tuesday, that it affects the crowd at the Grove. An Outlaws crowd at the Grove on Friday. The Outlaws talk about it, but there's been no studies done. Trust me, this sport can't get teching right. This sport there's no way studies are done. Okay, nobody's studied that yet. So the whole exclusivity thing, nobody can tell me that it affects it because no study has been done. There's no proof to it. None. So if high limit, let's make it a little closer. Let's say high limit runs at BAPS on a Wednesday. Not saying they are, before anybody gets carried away, but let's say they do. Or Grandview. Since high limit runs Grandview. Let's say they run Grandview on a Tuesday. And the Outlaws have a open borders, so to speak. And there's an Outlaw show at the Grove and Lincoln on Friday, Saturday. I guarantee you, there's no proof that that Tuesday race affects those over the weekend. Now, what might affect it is the price of 3 races like that in a row. Can a family of 4 afford it? And geographic, weather, things like that, facility, those things I would think affect it more than if there's a race down the road 3 days earlier that your guys might run. There's no proof of it. There's no studies have been done. So, but then again, like I said, I have no problem if they limit their guys. I don't. And you're going to see it get worse because they announced that they're running Huset's and Knoxville on Memorial Day next year. I would be willing to bet some of that is gravel and Schuhart going to Port Royal. I can't prove it, but now they have no chance to do that. So, I mean, do we need 7 races at Huset's, 7 World of Outlaws events at Huset's? Because that's how many is going to be there, unless they get rid of the Labor Day thing, which I doubt. I mean, look, we have 6 at the Grove. So Huset's now has more World of Outlaws dates than any except Knoxville. Next, if you count the Nationals, which are split field, Knoxville now is going to have 2, 4, 5, 9. Again, if you count the Nationals. If you don't count the Nationals, it's 5. So now you have 3 tracks, and we're not even counting Eldora yet. Eldora has Let's Race 2, and then 2 with the Kings Royal. So there's 4. Man, that's a bulk of that schedule at 4 tracks. So, look, I have no problem with it. I don't think the Outlaws drivers have enough time to be running all over the place anyway. I'm good with it. They give them 4, which allows them to run the big races. It doesn't keep them out of any of the majors. It's okay. How about the Outlaws announcing Knoxville Houston's doubleheader next year on Memorial Day weekend? Each 20 grand to win up against the Weicker. Do the Outlaws continue bumping purses next year? I think there's going to be something announced as far as their bonus system, obviously to keep up with the franchise system over at High Limit. I don't think, I mean, what it's going to be, I don't know yet. I've tried to find out, and it's been kept pretty hush-hush. So maybe at Charlotte we'll find out at World Finals. But, yeah, I mean, look, I understand Houston and Knoxville doing something together. That's good for the Midwest. I think $20,000 to have that for the Midwest guys is good. I'm not against them doing that. Is some of it to – now, does it hurt Ohio? Because that was Attica, and I believe was it? I know Attica was one of them. That second date is switched at times. So, I mean, does it hurt Ohio? I don't know. Is it more popular at Knoxville, Houston? Maybe. But, I mean, I don't have a problem with them doing it. And now, again, you're going to have 7 World of Outlaws events at Houston. You have the High Bank Nationals, the Labor Day deal, and this one in conjunction with Knoxville. So, you know, here we go. Is the move over flag still used for lap cars? Not at sanctioned races. Lincoln doesn't use, I don't know what Lincoln does because they have the video board. I don't see it much. Believe it or not. I don't know if we've gotten away from that, but sanction shows no. I mean, you got to pass them. So back in the day, I always like when we started back in my day. Sounds like Groucho Marx. Eldora held a race called the Big One. Yes. If it stayed going, would it be a crown jewel? And why did Eldora stop it? It wasn't attended well. I attended that race once, and I could have. I attended that race a few times, and it wasn't attended real well. It just was lack of interest. It wasn't. The drivers didn't like it either because it wasn't the week of the King's Royal. It was after that. It was another big race in between Knoxville and Eldora, and the guys didn't like that. I think it was the week before Knoxville, if I'm not mistaken. And guys didn't like having back-to-back races like that paid that much. So that was one of the things that was a problem. And it just wasn't attended very well. That's why they got rid of it. Would it be a crown jewel today? I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that. But that's why they got rid of it. I spent a lot of time this past weekend watching the great Super Dirt Week coverage by Mike Mallett with DTD Boys, which has me asking, will we ever see winged sprint cars at the mile oval? Well, it's not the mile anymore. Mile's gone. At Oswego, I doubt it seriously. There's no reason to do it. It's well attended. And yes, Mike Mallett and Dirt Track Digest did a great job up there. In fact, I talked to Mike Mallett a couple times today, and we talked about some of his coverage because I'm always looking to do some different things in the sprint car world. And he did a post-race thing similar to what we did for the National Open. And so I think we're going to do it at Texas this weekend, Saturday night. But yes, they did a great job. And no, I don't expect to see sprint cars at Oswego. At least not 410s. ESS, maybe they bring them in, but I doubt it. They have enough racing on that track and have enough problems with it. What's your prediction on High Limit schedule 2026? Great show. Thank you very much. I don't think they're going to go to the West Coast early. I don't expect that. I don't know for sure. I don't expect it. I think you're going to see some different things. I still think, and remember, High Limit's still in its infancy stage. I don't think they're still trying to find their way as far as a schedule. It's going to take them 5 years to kind of get these concrete, where you kind of know there's where they're going to be every month and what area. And then they're going to have like 4 new tracks, 4 they get rid of, or, kind of like the Outlaws now. They have their majors. Those are etched in stone. They have dates at Port Royal. They have dates at Chico, one on each coast. And I think they kind of fill in around that. I think that's going to become more stable as the years go on. I think now they're trying to find out what works and what doesn't. So, I think they're pretty entrenched at Lernerville as well. So it's hard to say what next year is going to look like. But I expect, again, everything to be built around. I do think they'll start in Vegas again. That worked, as long as it doesn't rain. So I don't really in between, though. It's hard to say because I do think they're still feeling out the process and what works and what makes money and what doesn't. It's a little premature, but do you think either of the big two schedule Calistoga next year? Also, they need to race more on the West Coast like they used to. Love your show. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like doing it. Here's the problem for the West Coast. They're not always well attended. The fans do not show up for all these events. I mean, if you're going to ask National Tour to come out there, you got to support it. And I know the Outlaws didn't do well on the West Coast this year. And High Limit had some shows that didn't do well this year. I just don't know the West Coast landscape with the amount of things to do out there. Hell, the Dodgers can't sell out their stadium in the playoffs. They have empty seats. So I just think it's a different kind of region. So I don't know if they need more races on the West Coast. I think maybe what Brad and Kevin Rudeen buying NARC, I think maybe they can build that up a little bit. And I think that can fill the void when the national tours aren't out there. Maybe bolster that a little bit, kind of organize things a little better. But they have a big swing that starts toward middle, late August and goes through Tulare. I mean, it's a pretty big stretch. And you don't want to be out there in the summer. I mean, NARC barely runs in, July and August. So, I don't know. I think they're okay. And then it seems to rain every time they went out there in the spring. So, I think the West Coast is I think we're seeing what the West Coast is going to be. I think it's fine. I just think they need to build up that NARC deal. Yes, I am aware of what he put out. My thoughts on it, if it's true. It's okay. I mean, I don't think what we saw of Baston in the 14 is who he is. I think he's better than that. I think I just think it didn't work. I don't think Spencer Baston is what we saw in that car. I think he's better than that. Better than he performed. So I can understand if he is the higher of the 17. I understand it. And we'll see what Kyle Pruitt and him can do. What does 24th pay at the National Open? That's just as important as the first. I think it's 3. Is it 2 or 3? I have not looked in a while. Admittedly, I apologize for that. I think it's 2. Do you ever see Paul Latier down there in Lebanon? Yeah, I have. I have seen him a few times. I like Paul. Good guy. I've seen him a little bit. I haven't seen him for a long time. It's been a while. Every driver reaches the end of the road. Just most of us knew how to give it up. Donnie is done. Again, I do believe he can win an Outlaws show. I mean, I don't think in his current situation, no. I mean, I don't think you can just throw a guy in a car. It's funny. Everybody thinks you can just jump in a car and go. That doesn't happen often. It just doesn't. It's not that easy to just jump in the car and be good. It's not how it works. So, I mean, it takes a while to mesh. So, there's countless examples of it. Jeremy, how do you feel about Path Valley's chances for a high limit show in 2026? Also, PA Speed Week. Thanks. It's going to come down to the finances. If you do not see Path Valley on the high limit schedule, it's because they didn't make money. Now, they had a decent crowd, but again, it's how many you can seat for the price tag on it. Purse is a lot higher than a Speed Week show. I do not know what's going to happen with Speed Week. As of now, that's a fluid situation. So, as far as they said, the Sunday date's going to roam, the finale, and they have the big race at Lincoln coming up. So, there it is. I believe somebody's putting the purse up. So there you go. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Path Valley schedule is going to be like next year. Yep, 75,000, 13, 2,500. Yeah, that's where it needs to be higher. Yeah, 2,500 to 24th. No, so I was off. Brian Carter from the Woo is he in witness protection? Jesus. In the last 5 years I've been watching Woo, I have never seen him at the track or be interviewed on Dirt Vision. Is this good for their business? I saw him at the Grove during the National Open. He gets interviewed every year on Wing Nation at the end of the year, kind of like a State of the Union type thing. I saw him I believe he was at the Kings Royal. I talked to him. I've seen him at tracks this year. Now, again, is it good? You have to ask the teams that. I mean, really only the teams can answer if he needs to be on the road more. Look, I do think it's important to be in tune with your teams. I do think you need to be visible. I do think that's just general business. Brian Carter, let's be honest, he saved the world of Outlaws in 2006. He should be in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. The fact that he's not is ridiculous. So he's done a lot for the sport, and should he be on the road more? I guess that's only his teams can answer that, how they feel about it. I mean, and how I don't know if he gets to the West Coast. I doubt it. But like I said, he was at the National Open. Hate to hear you're feeling a bit under the weather. Yeah, I have to leave my apartment, and then you subject yourself to germs. Are you still planning on coming to Texas this weekend? Yes. I leave for Texas at 6:51 a.m. on Friday. Yes, I'm going to Texas. Also tough to watch Sammy Swindell be in the way both nights. A high limit race almost cost Marks the win Friday. Time to retire, Sammy, please. Well, he ran good at Knoxville for what they're trying to do. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like guys hanging around too long, but that's the way the sport is. Guys, nobody's going to enforce any kind of age restriction or anything. So, who am I? Do you think the Outlaws are going to pull any Hail Marys this offseason with their rules, points, fund? Yeah, I think they're going to come out and do something. They'll do something. They just don't know what it is. They're not going to keep status quo. They really can't do that. At Lincoln on Saturday, I noticed a flagman for the A qualifying and not the rest of the show. I think their board went out. I think they had problems with the board. What do you think the car count will look like this weekend with the Outlaws? And does Baylog get a win in his home state? Well, he's been there. I mean, so he's going to have it. I think he can contend. I think to say that to get a win, he has 3 this year. He's looked good. Could have won at the Grove. He was in it all the way to the last lap. I'm impressed with Baylog this year. Yeah, he can get a win. I mean, am I going to pick him over Buddy and Gravel and Macedo? No, but he definitely can contend. He can he can win a race there. Yes. As far as car count, I would assume IRA's off. Mo is off. So I mean, 42, get 42, 44, something like that. We'll see. Brian Carter was out and about all week at Oswego Super Dirt Week, even raced his pro stock. Yes. Yeah, I figured he'd be there. They run that event. So, yeah, no doubt that he was overseeing Super Dirt Week. Not surprising at all. Mariah Eade is 5th in NARC points. Thoughts? I think NARC is soft. Nobody runs it. Nobody runs it full time. Sanders doesn't run it full time. Golobic doesn't run it full time. Selzy doesn't run it full time. You got to get those guys back. I mean, so yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Mariah Eade, but yeah, that's probably an indication that not enough guys are running it full time. And your guys in the Northwest, they don't come down and run it. Schlottfeld and guys like that. So you're not pulling in those guys either. And it also tells me your 360 guys aren't bumping up. Some of your good 360 guys, Austin Wood. I don't know if Jet Barnes has a 410 or not. Guys like that. So I think selling it to Brad at this point was a good move, and we'll see what they can do with it. Is Carly Holmes finishing the year with the Macri team? Look, I will say this. I don't know if she is or not, but they like her a lot, and she works. I watched her in the pit area. She gets after it. And I know they're really impressed with her working on the car and what she does. I know some people have been critical. That's misguided. I've talked to, first off, I watched her in the pits a couple nights, and also talking to Joe Mooney I think they'd love to have her. She does they were really impressed with how good of a job she does. She jumps right in there. She does everything they need. She continuously works, doesn't have to be told a bunch of stuff. I even talked to Ryan Hand about it, and he said she's a beast. So she has a bright future working on a car if she wants to. Do you remember Sheldon's running the Wintermeyer 3W at the Grove during the start of his career? Yes, I do remember that. I can't tell you how he finished, but I do remember it. Yeah, I mean, I knew he did it, but I don't know what his finish was, but I do remember him running it. West Virginia Motor Speedway looked good this past weekend. Like to see a national tour there next year. Do you think it would make sense to have it in the middle of late model country? It's always tough. It's always tough. I mean, Florence was tough for high limit. You're in the middle of late model country. Golden Isles was tough for high limit. I'm sure there's some Outlaws dates. They just don't necessarily work in late model country. So I think you definitely try it. Facility's nice. They put some time in it. I think you absolutely try it. The only way you're going to know. And it's close enough. Like it's not like down south. You're close enough to Ohio. You're close enough to Pennsylvania. Maybe you get some of those people, some of those fans. I'd like to see him try it. Any thoughts on which teams might be interested in buying a high limit charter? No, it's been pretty quiet. I mean, obviously, the 14's obviously going to sell to a second 7BC, a second Clausen Marshall entry. So that's going to happen. But I don't know. I don't see anybody else selling it at this point. I think everybody wants to see how it all shakes out. And I can tell you they're going to pay. It's not going to be anything nefarious where it's not done. So, but I think people want to see how this develops, and follow through with it before they start selling it off. Not that this year's National Open was bad, but don't you think the Grove should think about changing the configuration? That takes a boatload of money. You just don't alter the configuration. I assume you mean shorten it. If you're going to shorten it, it's going to cost a good amount of money. Could it be done? Sure. Would I like to see the pits outside of turns 1 and 2 just take out that wooded area, put them out there, run your time? To me, that's the biggest thing. They blew an hour and 40 minutes doing hot laps and time trials at the National Open. The first night on Friday. It was a little better the second night, but not by a ton. That's entirely too long. So you could run your time trials out of there. Your work area could be there, so on and so forth. That's the first thing I would do if I had Williams Grove. Would I shorten it? Yes. I would reconfigure it a little bit, but that costs a lot of money. You mentioned Ryan Hand. Has he been helping anybody, and any chances of him becoming a full-time crew chief again? 0.0. I do the podcast with him every week. He works for Macri Concrete on the concrete side. He has been to a few races to fill in for, I think Joe Mooney had a wedding. He filled in. But no, you're not going to see Ryan Hand out there slinging wrenches, and he's enjoying his time away from it. What are your thoughts on some tracks selling a majority of reserve parking rather than general admission? Oh, selling a majority of reserve seating rather than general admission. Hey, they're trying to get guaranteed money. When you sell those reserve seats, you're getting money rain or shine. Okay. Whereas, okay, let's say I'm going to have an Outlaw show. I'm selling reserve seating early. People buy it. As opposed to general admission, if it's a 60% chance of rain, they're going to all sit at home and watch it on Dirt Vision. I would absolutely sell reserve seats because that makes more sense for the racetrack. I mean, it's not great for the fans all the time, but let's face it, you can't just walk into an NFL stadium or a major sporting venue and just sit wherever. So, look, it's changing at the times, and race fans got to get used to it. These venues have got to make money. Got to make money. Otherwise, they're going to close. And then we're all going to be sitting here going, oh, I wonder what happened. It's so sad. Well, it's because people didn't go. So I totally understand why they're going to more reserve seating. What names have you heard for the Book 13? I am not going to say at this time. I've heard a couple. Some of them local to PA, and some of them, I will say that, local to PA, and some of them, because he's based out of Lancaster, and then some from the road. I think that's a fluid situation. I don't really know what's going to happen there. I think we have the high limit banquet this week. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff from high limit between the banquet and World Finals. So I'd stay tuned to that. Hint, hint. Who will drive the Bill Rose 6? I think Bill Rose. I will be surprised if Zach Hampton's back. Is Zerfoss going back on the road in 26? Unsure. He's not done with the season here yet. I think he needs to talk to Rich. I think he needs to figure out what he wants to do. They showed some speed at the end of the year. They were frisky. Even made a dash at Lincoln, that's a huge deal for Zerfoss. He's not really that good at Lincoln. He's never been really that good at Lincoln, but he made a dash there, which if there's a place I was going to pick him to make a dash, it wouldn't be Lincoln. So they've kind of gotten quicker at the end of the year here. So we'll see what plans they have going into the offseason. Do you think Brian Carter regrets not letting Brad Sweet and High Limit race the midweek stuff like they originally wanted? That's hard to say. Look, when you're a powerful guy in the sport, and I've talked to Carter, and I don't think he probably regrets it. I think he probably feels that he did what was best for his series. I don't know if CEOs have a lot of regret. I don't know if they can afford to. So I would be willing to bet that he doesn't regret it now. Just knowing Carter as much as I talked to him, I don't think he probably gives High Limit that much of a thought right now. I think he's aware of them. I think he doesn't like everything they do. I don't think probably he doesn't like anything they do. I think he probably is not. I don't think Brad's getting a Christmas card from Brian Carter, but I think he should regret that. I think what they could have done is had a midweek deal on I think they could have had a deal where here's what I would have done. Let's put it this way to clear this up. When Brad came to him to run those midweek shows, I would have done it. I would have let him do it on Flow, but I would have made them advertise Dirt Vision and the World of Outlaws weekend shows. I would have used it as a promotional tool if it would have been me. But I understand why Brian didn't do it. And I do think the Outlaws are paying for it a little bit. Baylog will win at Angel Park. He's damn good there. Lincoln Park should be a good one as well. I was really disappointed that we didn't get a chance when I was out there to see Angel Park. I mean, we looked at the track, but it was rained out. I was disappointed that we didn't get to see that race. Kind of a different type of shape to it, and I think it could have been good. So we'll see. I'm not going to count Bill Baylog out of any race in Wisconsin. That's for sure. How are your Bills, by the way? Jeremy, who are your favorite bands and singers? Oh, God. AC/DC is, I like a lot of individual songs and stuff. It's hard for me to like everything a band does. But I like AC/DC, all but one song. Bon Scott, AC/DC. I don't mind Brian Johnson. I like Brian Johnson, but Bon Scott's Bon Scott. You can't replace Bon Scott. I like Disturbed. If we're looking at a band now, I really, really like Disturbed. I do not listen to country music at all. I don't like it. I like some older 70s music, some 60s music, a little California Dreamin'. I like a lot of different stuff. Jovan Schriltz gave me a book on the Beatles, and I think there's nothing that will ever compare to what they did. So, and I think Paul McCartney's probably in my opinion, the best musician ever. All around musician who can, sing, play anything, just whatever. Now, I don't listen to a ton of their stuff. But yeah, I like a lot of different music. I like Rush. Subdivisions is my favorite song from Rush. It's not one of their more popular. I mean, Stairway to Heaven, yes, but I'm a big Subdivisions guy. So there you go. My Bills are just fine. We will be there come playoff time. Yes. Keep telling yourself that. Yeah, you'll be there, and then they'll be right out the door. Can't play defense. Don't have enough good receivers either. What happened with Nate Repitz and the Macri team? Where did he go? He is with the 17 right now. Nate Repitz, it just didn't work out, personalities. But he's at the 17. I think he'll be finishing the year for them, maybe. I know he was there this weekend. Jeremy, did you ever cover NASCAR races? Yes, I did. I have covered some NASCAR races. We used to, when I was at the newspaper, I covered Pocono and Dover. A whole weekend, a lot of different, wrote a lot of different stories, covered. It was right in it was actually for a lot of years, when their popularity was at its height, and then as it started to drop off. So I saw both sides of that. Who does KKR pair with Pursley since Mooney is staying with Macri? Good question. I think they're going to go a little off the grid with it. I don't think it's going to be somebody sprint car people really know, from what I'm hearing. who would you consider the biggest bust in sprint car racing history? Sounds like a 90 at 9. Excuse me again. Wow. Biggest bust. That's tough because is it a guy who was highly touted and people thought he was going to be this great thing? I mean, what do you consider? I mean, it's not like they're drafted like the NFL. Man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to you got to give me some parameters. You got to give me like that is it a person people thought would be, oh my God, this guy's going to be so good and then wasn't? Or is it a guy who maybe had a one-hit wonder and just went after that? I mean, I need some quality. I don't know who that would be. Maybe the chat can get that stirred up. Man, I don't know. Highly touted, wonder kid, etc. Dave Ely in PA. Dave Ely came out like just on fire. Picked it up real quick. Won the old early bird championship, I believe, at Williams Grove. And just, you thought he was going to be the guy in the area. He was tutored by, Don Kreitz Jr., and it just dropped off. And then he got out of it. And then he DMI, puts out a great product. A lot of guys win with his stuff. But that's one where you thought it was going to be big. You thought he was the next guy. Won a few races, got off to a quick start, and it just never went any further than that. So that's one that comes to mind. On the road, that's tough because you don't always get young guys out there. And look at the guys out there now. Buddy kills it. I think Gio has done enough. I mean, he was 4th in World of Outlaws points twice. That's not bust. It's so I don't know. We'll see. But Dave Ely comes to mind as far as, and PA people know who that is and why I might have said that. And that's no disrespect to Ely. He got out of it soon after that. And he has been widely successful at DMI. Cody Dare bust. Cody Dare got injured. No. I don't agree with that. He won some races at KKR and then he got injured and he was never the same after that. Okay. Fair. Was California? Yep. Nope. Randy Hannigan. Biggest but he won the Knoxville Nationals. At this point, you can't call a guy a bust who won the Knoxville Nationals. You just can't. Stop it. And Craig Kinzer won some races before he went before he went truck racing. So no, I disagree. That changed the course of his career. When he went truck racing and came back, that killed him. Oh, okay. Maybe. Lance Blevins. I never thought he was going to jump off the page. Kenny Brightbill had a stellar modified career, ran great in late models, and never did much with a sprint car. Kind of a bust in that. Yeah, that's fair. But again, it's a third discipline. He's really good in modified. He was really good in modified. Where do you rank Hodnett Hand as a driver crew chief combo in PA history? Top 5? If I'm counting Wolfgang, see, that's the problem. If you're counting Wolfgang and flirting with the top 5. Flirting. Definitely top 10. Which will be a better season-ending race? World Finals at Charlotte, High Limit at TMS, or PA at BAPS? Which will be a better season-ending race this year? I mean, the best event is Charlotte because you have all 3 of them, so on and so forth. My favorite is the one thing about Charlotte. I wish it paid more. They packed that place, and I just wish it paid more. I wish it paid more, and I mean, High Limit's still getting that Texas deal established. I'm going to go see it live this weekend, so I'll have a better judge next week. I love the BAPS season ender. I just do. I like the modified sprint car combo. I think if they stuck the 358 modifieds, the good 358 modifieds, on with the sprint 410 sprint cars more, I think that would be a great show in PA. Get rid of all the other divisions no. Look, that used to be the program at Port Royal, used to be the program at Penn National at times. It was really, really good. So I like when Colton Gauss throws that thing together at the end of the year. I wish it would get more traveling guys, but I get it. People end their seasons. We'll see what TMS is this week. I have not been down there yet. It'll be my first trip to Texas ever, even setting foot in the state. So we'll see. I don't like that it's going to be 90 degrees. That's BS. I'm in a hoodie tonight, so we'll see. But Charlotte, as far as an event, Charlotte's obviously bigger. I just heard Macri is in the TH car for Trophy Cup. Yes, he is going to race short tracks. He probably won't go to Charlotte. He's not going to race any big tracks. And yes, Charlotte's dust is terrible. But anyway, yes, Macri's going to run short tracks. He's just not going to run any big tracks the rest of the year because of his back. Hampton was faster than Rose has ever been in that car. Do you think Hampton will get another chance at a touring ride? I think it's doubtful. I think the deal at the Grove where he went to the infield and kind of quit on the night is going to hurt him. That just wasn't a good look. I just think that was not a good look. So I will be surprised if he's back in the Rose car, and I'll be surprised if he gets a ride on the road again. After going to a few big shows and other events such as hockey, go Bears. Yeah, I got a new hat. It's up there. I think Venus need to stay away from people trying to oversing the national anthem. Yes, people want to butcher the national anthem all the time. That's never ending. Why does it take nearly 2 minutes to upright Bud Kading's car? It was laying on its side. Bud could not get out of the car. It was way too long. Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. You shouldn't, just for a tip over, shouldn't be 2 minutes. You know, I often said when Wolfgang got burned, I think it was 4 minutes or something like that. They was in the car, whatever it was, 6 minutes. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Sit at your kitchen table, like I'm sitting at my dining room table. Just sit there and stare at a watch and how long that is. 2 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're sitting there looking at a clock, it's a long time. Got to get there quicker. Got to get things taken care of quicker. Definitely for safety reasons. This question may have been asked. Sorry if so, but do you feel ticket prices are out of control? Think about how much it costs a family of 4 or 5 to just get into the races. Is that hurting attendance? Ooh, I could go on and on about this. I'll try and condense it. I do think it is getting rougher for a family of 4 or 5 to go to these races, especially big events. However, racing fans have had it good a long time. Take a family of 4 or 5 to the movies, get popcorn, hot dog, whatever. You're going to pay more than you go to the races. Okay? Or it's going to be in the same line. Entertainment-wise, racing is below what most entertainment is as far as the cost of it. So I think it's just catching up to the rest of, movies, other sporting events, etc. A Hershey Bears game, you can get in the building for $19. I have season tickets and it averages out to about, it's like 36 games. It's about $19 a seat, which is good. But you're going to pay roughly $30 if you go and it's 2.5 hours. So now, here's what the other thing I'll say about it. I think what's happened is, I think weekly racing is struggling because people are saving their money for the big events. They're saving their money for the Tuscarora 50. They're saving their money for the Kings Royal, the Outlaw shows, High Limit. They're saving their money for all these big shows, these majors, these sanctioning bodies, and they are not spending money to go to a weekly show, even though it's cheaper. And then I think in turn, that's when flow hurts you. That's when dirt vision hurts you. Because they'll stay home for those instead of going because they're saving their money. That's my thought on ticket prices. I don't think the tracks can ask the fans to shell out more. I think when you start spending $40, $50 for an event, I think that's the threshold right there. That's the cap. Kings Royal, okay. Knoxville Nationals, yeah, people feel they're getting them. But for an Outlaw show or a High Limit show, you can't ask them to pay $60. That's just getting. So I don't know what the bubble is. It's like that old Wall Street, the movie Wall Street with Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen. It's a bubble. When's the bubble burst? So, Jeremy, what do you think a High Limit charter is worth? I think it depends who's selling it. I mean, if you're the top guy selling it right now, I mean, look, when a business, if I was selling my business, the rule of thumb is you take my earnings and times it by 3, 4, or 5. Pick one. And the high end is 5, middle 4, low end 3. So if you have a charter that's worth $100,000 with where they finished in points, is it worth $300,000? But the rule of thumb in business is 3, 4, or 5. No less. Low end's 3. Earnings for a year times 3, so on and so forth. So you do the math. Tulare had choice of track. What's that? Tulare had bad choice of track if driver has bad back. I'm not going to disagree with that. Look, it's a head scratcher to me, but I know he did well out there. do one of these. I don't, just, I wouldn't, I mean, if I had a bad back, I'm not running to Larry. But he said he was just sore. He was just sore. He wasn't talking to him even off the record. He said he was just sore. It wasn't where he could hurt it more. People want a shorter Williams Grove, but that's basically what Baps is shaped like. P.S. 90 degrees is awesome. Go to Billy Bob's. There's no similarities between Williams Grove and Baps. Even shorter Williams Grove wouldn't be Baps. Straightaways are longer. It's not banked as much. Baps has a different type of clay. Even configuration is just a little different. It's just different. Even if you shorten Williams Grove, you're still going to kind of have a paper clip. So they're not really similar in any way, and they don't race anywhere close to being similar, even if you shorten it up. You'd actually have to bring the straightaways out, and you can't do that. You at Williams Grove, there's no way you'd be able to do that. So, no, I don't think it's that. But the problem is the money. That's the real issue. It costs a lot to reconfigure a track. Ben Gregg was a big Outlaw bust who was hyped. I remember Ben Gregg. I didn't see the hype, but I was a lot younger then, so I can't say yes or can't say no. My family was trying to get tickets to the Mizzou versus Mississippi State game, second week of November, and it's sold out. How many dirt races sell out weeks out? Almost none. If you're trying to compare sprint car racing to college football, you're not gonna be able to do that. It's not even comparable. Over under on you reaching 10,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving. I actually don't know what I'm at. I will say this. Thank you to everybody who tunes into the YouTube stuff. When I started this deal, I never thought it would go this well. And I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of everybody who tunes into the 90 at 9, this show, the deep dive. Like I said, we're going to have Zeb Wise on this week, and that should be interesting. And, we have some things planned for next year. We're going to do a post-race show from Texas. Hopefully, I have better Wi-Fi than I did at the Grove, which I should be. I've already reached out to and gotten the Wi-Fi at Texas, and Friday I'll scout it out. But we will have one after. We'll have a post-race show, and I'm kicking around doing a post-race show every Saturday next year. Just kind of a wrap-up of the night. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to do one at Texas, and I'm going to do one at Baps at the end of the year in November, and we'll see how it is, and then I'll decide if I'm going to make it a regular part of YouTube. But we're going to be expanding, and that doesn't mean we're going to let the website slide. I'm going to be producing content for my subscribers on the website. Still waiting for the merch. I thought I was going to get out of this week without the merch quit. We'll see. I'm working on it. I might have gotten an email from somebody about merch, and I'm checking it out. If weekly racing is struggling, what does that mean for the teams that are regional or run local? Not everyone is willing to lose wheelbarrows of money to run for 2,000 to win, 2,200 to start. I don't have that answer. I'd like to think I have a lot of answers. I don't know. I think what's going to have to happen, and this is my theory, is these regions are going to they're going to need to have like regional series. Like, okay, Pennsylvania, for instance. I think you're going to need to have some kind of series in PA. Now it's got to be done right. Okay. And that's a whole nother animal. California has NARC. So that's already in place. And I think the Midwest is okay because they just don't have a lot of 410 sprint car race, outside of Houston and Knoxville. So I think they could run their weekly shows and be fine, especially Knoxville because it's Knoxville. That's a commuter track anyway. Everybody's popping in there just to get laps for the Nationals. So, and I think Houston's is to the point where they start in May. They're over at Labor Day, and they have the High Bank Nationals, Outlaws twice. I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say special events, but kind of. So I think they're doing it on a lot lower scale. So I think that's what happens to the locals. Now, do they support that? Do California needs 360 guys to move up, and they're not moving? There's got to be incentive. Like, stop giving 360 bonuses in 410 races. That's one thing. And as far as this area, I don't know if guys would support it or not. But they got to do something because the local shows are not doing as well. We have so many big shows, though. It's what I think it was 39 shows or 35, 30. It was high 30s shows that pay 10,000 or more. It's ridiculous. So the sport is the problem with ticket prices. All successful business works on 20% diehards and 80% rotational, whereas our sport works the opposite due to the lack in expansion efforts. The problem with our sport, I wouldn't say 80% rotational. I think the NFL is not that percentage. I don't think the NBA certainly is not that percentage. And the NHL, that's not that percentage either. Those three, now baseball, again, baseball's a diehard sport. All four national sports, that percentage isn't true. I've covered those sports. They're not. They release statistics. It's not that. The problem with our sport, in my opinion, is it doesn't have enough money to expand. We can say we're going to expand. Okay, but somebody's got to front the money to do it. There's no big entity that has enough money to do it. As there's no NFL. In the NFL, you have 32 billionaires. That's who owns the NFL. In the NBA, you have the same thing. All those leagues have they have an infinite amount of money. They get TV deals. TV pays the freight. They do well in their arenas, but the TV deals are astronomical. NASCAR survives off their TV deal. It's huge. So the problem with sprint car race is there's not enough money in it. There's just not enough money to expand. You can't just say build a different car because it's going to knock out 3/4 of the teams, and then the tracks are going to go away because they have nobody running there because people aren't going to go watch 10 cars. The problem is it's still small. It's niche. I'm not saying it can't grow a little bit. I'm saying it can never be those other things because that's not what it was built on. It's not the foundation. It's not the people who are in place. And I got news for you. There aren't a bunch of people coming in. There's not the Home Depot guy, Arthur Blank, coming in to do it. Robert Kraft isn't in this sport. We don't have that. And it's just, sometimes we need to accept it is what it is and make what we got a little better. Work on getting what we have organized. That's another thing. We try and think too far outside the box. you know what? Let's fix the problems within the sport first and then worry about expansion. How about we get some tech guys? How about we don't go to places that are dumps? You know, there's inherent problems with dirt track racing. It's not going to draw your suburban housewife who has to sit in a porta-john. Okay, it's not going to happen. Okay, there's fundamental problems. This expansion stuff, you can talk about it till the cows come home. There's not enough money, and the facilities need to be better, and we do not have the funds to make it get to that point. What happened in 90 at 9 today? My voice was shot. I went to bed early last night. I'm dealing with a cold. You can hear me getting raspy. There will be a 90 at 9 tomorrow. I apologize. It just wasn't happening today. I wouldn't have been. It takes me a couple takes to do the 90 at 9 and get it right because I memorize it. I don't read it. So it just wasn't happening last night. No way. What's the word on the race tire for 2020? I assume you mean 2026. I will say Hoosier's testing. That's what I'll say. Hoosier is testing. Who wins the high limit midweek championship? It's a toss-up. All four of those guys are good at Lucas Oil. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take Brad Sweet. I'm going to take Brad Sweet to pass Rico to win that. Penn State tickets are becoming more readily available lately. Yeah, I wasn't upset to see them lose. They can lose every week for me. I'm not a Penn State fan. I saw the list of coaches today. It was interesting, to say the least. Safe travels to Texas. Thank you. Appreciate it. Facility at Texas better than Charlotte, my opinion. Just the dirt sucks and rubber's down instantly. Didn't have that problem there earlier this year. I think Mike Hess went in early and did a lot of work on it. I was told it was pretty good, so I don't know. We'll see. See when I get down there. Hope Danny Sams is back with high limit next year. I would almost rather see him just drop down to a regional series, do well there, and build back up to where he has more resources. I think he needs more resources to do that. Jeremy, you've been off the porch quite a bit this season. You sticking with a true outlaw schedule next year? Yes. I do a true outlaw schedule all the time. Yes, I will not be following a series, and I will not be glued to PA. I do like getting out. My problem is I don't like to travel because of logistics, but I do like once I get there, I'm fine. It's one of those things like I won't like going to Texas, but I'll like when I'm there. If I could just like teleport like Star Trek, which I know is impossible, and just could get home instantly. It's a time thing. That's all. I don't like wasting time, but no, it's all right. Yeah, I'd like to get to the West Coast next year. The real true outlaw. Yeah, I wish. We'll see. But I'd like I said, I want to go to Skagit. My goal is to get to Skagit next year and, get Brent Smith up there. Takes great pictures for SprintCarUnlimited.com. I appreciate what he does. And Joseph Terrell's doing a great job with the West Coast stuff. And then him and I can kind of, double bang cover in a race. All right. That's a wrap. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining the show. Again, apologize for my voice. I'm going to go work on the 90 at 9 and see if I can get that out tomorrow. And, again, stay tuned to our YouTube channel. If you like our content, hit the subscribe button. Also, check out SprintCarUnlimited.com. It's only $35 a year, and we'll have plenty of content throughout the rest of the season. And we'll be back next week with another show. Stay tuned.